I bet you didn't know that by the time you reach 80 years old, your muscle mass has probably already shrunk by half compared to when you were younger. This progressive loss of muscle, known as sarcopenia, is a terrible condition that stealthily steals the independence of millions of older adults worldwide. It affects more than 50 million seniors, and the weak, atrophied muscles that accompany this condition contribute to falls that send over 300,000 elderly individuals to the hospital each year. Yet the prevailing wisdom, that severe muscle atrophy is an unavoidable consequence of getting older, has been thoroughly overturned. Research published in the Journal of Physiology reveals that some people in their 70s possess the strength, function, and even the appearance of someone decades younger, while most of their peers struggle with simple daily tasks like rising from a chair or climbing a flight of stairs. These remarkable individuals maintain full independence well into their 90s, regularly outperforming people half their age on strength tests, and continue to climb mountains, play competitive sports, and live life with youthful vigor. If that sounds unbelievable, it's worth knowing that scientists at the Mayo Clinic have pinpointed the exact daily practices that set these superagers apart, habits that 93% of seniors have never heard of, and that most doctors never recommend. One of these habits is so counterintuitive that it actually slows muscle atrophy by keeping certain harmful genes turned off, while another is something you may be doing completely wrong every single day. Correcting that one mistake could mean the difference between enjoying your golden years in freedom or relying on others for help. Before we begin, though, please remember to like and subscribe for more educational health insights. And let us know in the comments where you're watching from. Now, let's dive into the 7 science-backed daily habits that can restore your muscles to the strength of someone half your age. First, let's explore the world of hormetic stress. At first glance, it seems odd that intentionally subjecting yourself to mild stress would boost muscle health, but that is precisely what hormesis is all about. When we expose our bodies briefly to stressors that would be harmful in large doses, we trigger powerful cellular defense mechanisms. Cold exposure, ending your shower with 30 to 60 seconds of cold water or taking a brief cold plunge, activates brown fat, increases the production of new mitochondria, and releases adiponectin, a hormone that protects muscle tissue from breakdown. Conversely, regular use of saunas or hot tubs stimulates heat shock proteins, which repair and protect muscle cells. A Finnish study defined regular sauna use as 4 to 7 times per week, and those sauna goers experience 40% less muscle loss over a decade compared to non-users. Intermittent fasting is another hormetic stressor embraced by superagers. Restricting eating to an 8 to 10-hour window each day not only stimulates autophagy, the body's internal cleanup process, but also improves mitochondrial efficiency in muscle cells by up to 10% within 12 weeks, according to research from the Salk Institute. Finally, overcoming isometrics, in which you repeatedly push or pull against an immovable object at full effort for 5 to 10 seconds, sends robust anabolic signals to your muscles without overloading your joints. The key to all these stressors is moderation, brief, powerful bursts followed by plenty of recovery time, which together activate longevity genes like FOXO and sirtuins that preserve muscle mass deep into the 80s. Equally vital is the way you fuel your muscles. And here timing is just as crucial as quantity. As we age, our muscles develop what scientists call anabolic resistance, meaning they become less efficient at using dietary protein to build new tissue. A landmark study in the Journal of Nutrition found that spreading protein evenly across every meal, aiming for 25 to 30 grams of high-quality protein at breakfast, lunch, and dinner, enhances muscle protein synthesis by as much as 25% compared to consuming the same total protein in fewer meals. Sadly, most seniors unknowingly concentrate almost all their protein at supper, leaving their muscles starved for the rest of the day. By swapping cereal or toast at breakfast for eggs, Greek yogurt, or a protein smoothie and continuing to include lean meats, fish, dairy, lentils, or beans at lunch and dinner, superagers capitalize on 3 to 4 hour windows of opportunity following each meal, and a University of Texas study showed that those who did so gained an average of 1.2 pounds of muscle over 12 weeks, all without changing any other aspect of their lifestyle. Another quiet killer of strength is vitamin D deficiency, which affects more than 80% of older adults. Although we often associate vitamin D with bone health, Harvard researchers have discovered that it also activates genes involved in building and synthesizing muscle. Muscle cells contain vitamin D receptors that, when stimulated, launch the processes necessary to develop and maintain muscle mass. In a pioneering study published in JAMA Internal Medicine, seniors with optimal vitamin D levels, above 40 nanograms per milliliter, had 25% greater muscle strength, markedly improved reaction time, coordination, and balance, all of which directly reduce the risk of falls. Unfortunately, our skin's capacity to produce vitamin D from sunlight decreases by 50% between the ages of 20 and 65, and a standard recommendation of 600 international units per day is woefully inadequate for most seniors. Instead, research indicates that 2,000 to 4,000 IUs daily, combined with 15 to 20 minutes of direct midday sun, when possible, vitamin D-rich foods like fatty fish, egg yolks, and fortified dairy, and paired with vitamin K2 to ensure calcium goes to the bones rather than the arteries, is the ideal strategy. Always base supplementation on blood tests and medical advice, and aim to keep your levels above 40 ng/ml for both muscular and cardiovascular health. Chronic, low-grade inflammation, or inflammaging, is a major driver of muscle deterioration in the elderly. This persistent inflammatory state breaks down muscle protein faster than your body can rebuild it and inhibits the anabolic signals that normally promote muscle growth in response to exercise and protein. A seminal study from Tufts University found that seniors with the highest levels of inflammatory markers lost muscle mass 3 times faster than those with the lowest markers. Superagers stay one step ahead by prioritizing consistent, high-quality sleep, going to bed at the same time each night in a totally dark room, and by cultivating a diverse, plant-rich diet that includes over 30 different plant foods weekly plus fermented foods like yogurt, kefir, and sauerkraut to support a healthy gut microbiome. They also balance daily moderate activity with 1 to 2 brief, intense intervals per week rather than attempting constant high-intensity workouts that can worsen inflammation, and they regularly consume anti-inflammatory nutrients such as 2 to 3 grams of omega-3 fatty acid from fish or supplements, curcumin from turmeric, and polyphenol-rich foods like berries, green tea, and extra virgin olive oil. Monitoring inflammation with a high-sensitivity C-reactive protein test, where superagers typically keep their levels below 1 milligrams per liter, 3 to 5 times lower than the average senior, helps them adjust these tactics as needed. No matter how well you eat or how hard you exercise, without the right micronutrients, your muscles can never reach their full potential. University of Vermont researchers have dubbed magnesium the forgotten electrolyte for muscle health. This mineral participates in over 300 enzymatic reactions, yet more than 70% of older adults are deficient. Seniors with adequate magnesium levels have 30% stronger grips and significantly higher physical performance than those with even mildly low levels, according to a 2021 study in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition. Superagers address this by supplementing with highly bioavailable forms like magnesium glycinate or threonate, and by eating magnesium-rich foods daily, dark leafy greens, nuts, seeds, and even dark chocolate. Closely following magnesium in importance is creatine, a compound often associated with bodybuilding but equally beneficial for older adults. A 2015 McMaster University study showed that taking 3 to 5 grams of creatine daily in conjunction with strength training significantly improved muscle mass, strength, and cognitive function in seniors by enhancing energy PR, adduction, and hydration in muscle cells. Superagers also supplement with methylated B12, methylcobalamin, the active form of vitamin B12, because as we age, our stomach acid production, critical for B12 absorption, declines, and common medications like proton pump inhibitors and metformin further deplete this vital nutrient. Finally, they ensure they have optimal levels of trace minerals such as zinc, selenium, and chromium, which facilitate protein synthesis and insulin sensitivity, and a comprehensive Tufts University study linked proper levels of these minerals to a 22% increase in muscle mass maintenance over 5 years. Rather than relying on a generic multivitamin, superagers obtained detailed micronutrient testing to tailor their supplementation precisely to their individual needs. Preserving the critical link between nerves and muscle fibers, the neuromuscular junction, is habit number 2. When these connections deteriorate, the brain cannot effectively recruit muscle fibers, no matter how much protein you eat or how often you train. Research from the University of Michigan shows that exceptionally strong superagers maintain far healthier neuromuscular connections than their peers by practicing coordination-demanding activities like Tai Chi, dancing, tennis, or ping pong twice weekly. These skill-based movements require precise, predetermined motion patterns that strengthen the neural pathways between the brain and muscles, preserving neuromuscular junctions by 31% more than conventional exercise. They also support nerve health with compounds such as alpha-lipoic acid and acetyl-L-carnitine to prevent oxidative damage, and they use forms of vitamin B1 like benfotiamine and huperzine from Chinese club moss to boost acetylcholine, the neurotransmitter responsible for muscle activation. Adding 5 minutes of daily box breathing, inhaling for 4 counts, holding for 4, exhaling for 4, and holding for 4, stimulates the vagus nerve and can increase neural activation of muscles by up to 15%. Perhaps most intriguingly, superagers engage in regular mental challenges, brain games, puzzles, or learning new skills, which Columbia University found directly benefit neuromuscular health because the brain and the neuromuscular system share many neural pathways. Finally, the single most powerful habit, what Tufts University experts call the most potent anti-aging drug ever discovered, is resistance training that builds upon itself. Muscles operate on a use-it-or-lose-it principle with one crucial exception. To maintain them, you must gradually increase the challenge. Walking, water aerobics, or lifting the same light weights week after week simply won't preserve muscle mass past age 60. Superagers follow targeted resistance programs that emphasize intensity over duration, pushing to the point of transient muscle failure, where you cannot complete another repetition with proper form, which triggers protein synthesis for up to 72 hours after exercise. They focus on compound exercises, squats, deadlifts, rows, presses, and pulls, adapted for joint health, and they strictly apply progressive overload by adding weight, reps, or slowing the eccentric phase each session. Emphasizing eccentric, lowering, movements places extra tension on the muscle fibers without additional joint stress, and a 12-week University of Alabama study found that older adults who followed this approach increased their strength by 35% and gained an average of 3.3 pounds of muscle, along with improvements in cognitive function, bone density, and blood glucose control. The greatest mistake retirees make is believing that resistance exercise is too risky or outdated. In reality, nothing is more dangerous than neglecting it. Achieving just 2 30-minute sessions per week, ideally under the guidance of a qualified trainer to ensure proper form and progression, can profoundly slow the aging process. These are the 7 research-backed habits that allow some 80-year-olds to move and feel like they're 40 again. Each practice, embracing hormetic stress, mastering protein timing, optimizing vitamin D and micronutrients, managing inflammation, preserving neuromuscular connections, and committing to progressive resistance training, forms a comprehensive strategy for rebuilding and maintaining muscle strength well into advanced age. Don't try to implement them all at once. Pick one habit you can start today, master it, then gradually add the next. Track your progress with strength tests, blood panels, vitamin D and HSCRP levels, and celebrate each victory. Putting effort into building your strength and independence now will pay dividends throughout your golden years. Are you already practicing any of these 7 habits? Which one surprised you most? Do you know an elderly person whose strength defies expectations for their age? Share your experiences in the comments, and please like, subscribe, and share this guide with loved ones. Your future self and your muscles will thank you.